This is my sister, siblings networking and all of that. So we are going to be interviewing Dee very, very shortly, as Dee is a housing manager. Sorry, I have to get it right. So she'll be telling us a bit about her journey, how she got into it, certain experiences that she's gone through, and then also give us a bit more information on...
Yeah, today I'll be giving some information about funds that are available for people who are struggling to pay their rent or have got shortfalls in their rent. So I'll be talking about some of the schemes and funds that are available out there that people can tap into.
Right, okay. I think we should just jump straight into it.
Okay.
You all right with that? Okay, cool. All right, so let's start off first with you telling us about your journey, like how you started working for housing. Tell us where you started, where you are now.
Okay, so I've been in housing now for about 22 years.
Okay, gives away your age a bit.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been in housing for about 22 years. I started off as a homeless caseworker. That was about like 2002. 2002?
Wow.
Yeah, 2002.
That's like 23 years ago.
Yeah. And then I moved over to another borough, which is where I still work. I've been there for 20 years now. And I started off as, like I said, a caseworker. And then after about a year, they were piloting like schemes where they identified that there were people that needed housing, but not everybody's eligible to be on the housing list. So we started piloting schemes to help people get into the private sector. Because what a lot of people don't know is that when you approach a council now when you're homeless, it's not really about you getting a council house anymore. The local authorities have a duty to satisfy your housing needs. And so it's about assisting you to get accommodation so that you're not homeless.
Right, yeah.
So that often is private accommodation because there is a housing crisis. And there's cost of living and,
of course, all these things, yeah.
The climates have changed a hell of a lot. So that's what it's more about, to be fair. So basically, now I am a manager in housing, but I manage funds that assist people who have like issues with their rent.
Right, okay.
For example. So as I was mentioning before, one of the funds that I manage is the discretionary housing payment fund.
If you don't know about people, it's so good.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's widely known as the DHP fund. And
it stands for
discretionary housing payments.
Right.
So just to get into that a little bit, basically what it is that every authority in the country receives this money from the DWP, Department for Work and Pensions, right? And the amount of money will depend on the kind of size of borough you've got and also how you spent that fund before.
Right, okay.
So the borough that I work at, the financial climate has changed so much. So we used to get close to 2 million.
Okay.
It is one of the larger for a year.
Okay.
Yeah. It is one of the larger boroughs in London that I work for. So our funding is always quite large. But in the last few years, they've been cutting the funding as it's been.
Can I
loads
ask
of
if would all the funds be used every year? Was all the funds used, or was there some money left back?
Right. So that will depend borough to borough. So in my borough, all of the funding is used, and the local authority are able to top up the amount by their own money because it often isn't enough now.
I find that some boroughs, like when you ask for assistance, they may not give it to you if you ask at a certain time of the year. But then if you ask for it maybe towards the end where they're nearing the time where they're going to get their new money, now whatever money they've held on to, they now need to get rid of it. And so you're more likely to get through because now...
It's not meant to be like that. So basically, you receive a new allocation in the new financial year. So the 1st of April, you'll get a new allocation. What does happen in some boroughs is maybe they haven't been proactive enough.
Right, yeah.
So basically what that means is that they have money in the last quarter of the year. And if you don't spend all of the money, then you will definitely probably be a bit more lenient with the fund and be trying to get people to use it. Because if you don't use it, you'll get penalised by getting less money the year after.
Right.
So it does have an impact.
But then ideally, obviously I realise that the council don't really need it. If there's money left over that you haven't used, then it's not all of that money is needed, is it?
No, it's not that. What it is about councils advertising it properly and you getting people applying who are actually entitled to it.
Right.
So So there'll be boroughs that might have money left, but that probably boils down to not advertising it enough or gatekeeping too much.
Right.
So what happens is, it's quite hot in here, isn't it?
It is.
What happens is, you get the money, and the DWP give guidelines as to how you should use it. In my borough, I am fortunate enough or unfortunate enough
Yeah.
to write the policy. Okay.
You write the policies.
I write the policies for this
Okay.
in my borough.
Right.
So usually this fund sits in housing benefit in local authorities. But
Right.
where I work, we have the benefit of it being in the housing department.
Okay.
So you get a more holistic kind of approach to it, and you can really prevent homelessness with it. So that's a benefit, right?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of boroughs that have it in housing benefit, but they'll partner up with the housing department. But we have it in our department, and we've had it like that for like about 15 years. So we've been
Okay.
really, really fortunate. And when you're writing the policy, you have to write the policy looking at the DWP guidelines. But, you know, essentially you can write it yourself. So when you're writing it, you need to be proactive and know what your clients need.
Right. Yeah.
And so then you'll be able to use up the money. We don't ever not use the money
Right.
in my borough. Yeah, and then if there's times of the year that you get to and you realise, because I mean, you're meant to spend it in a measured way, right? So we'll spend 8% each month, and if sometimes it'll go over that, and that's fine. But if you get to a time where you say, okay, we really should have spent 600,000 by now, then you can do exercises or projects where you target groups, where you say, okay, the people in private accommodation don't seem to have had as much assistance, so
Right.
let's do a targeted approach to that. It might be an event, it might be a mail out, it might be text messages and all that kind of stuff.
Right, because all those things cost, so that's a way of the money being used up for.
No, you can't. You can only use the money for the clients. But what I'm saying is, what you'll do is you'll contact people so that you can spend more money.
Right.
Yeah. So that the example that you're talking about, that's why I was saying that the local authority probably wasn't proactive enough, or their policy is too strict.
Right.
You know.
And so for those who don't know, I think you might have explained it already, but I don't know if you went into so much detail.
Yeah.
So for those who don't know what the discrepancy payment is or what it looks like,
Okay.
yeah, how can you
All
apply
right.
for it, and if you get it, what can you do
Okay.
with it? What's the benefits?
Okay. So so
I've used it myself as well, so I have got an experience.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's excellent when
Okay.
you do need the help.
all right, let's get into that. So the eligibility on it is, you have to be in receipt of housing benefit or the housing element of universal credit. Right, so I'm going to repeat that again. Just because you receive universal credit doesn't mean you're entitled to this fund. You
Right.
have to be receiving housing costs.
Yeah.
Yeah? So that's housing benefit or the housing element of universal credit, sorry.
Right.
So if you are in receipt of either of those and you have a shortfall in your rent, so your rent is £1,000 a month
Right.
and you only get £950, then the £50 you'll be able to apply for a discretionary housing payment
Yeah.
to help with the shortfall of the rent.
Right.
So that's the eligibility around it. So if you're, I mean, it is really aimed around people who are on lower incomes, perhaps, but a lot of people receive, even if you receive £1 from
Right,
housing
yeah.
benefit, then you'll be able to go for it. So if you want to apply for the discretionary housing payment, yeah, it's the short, the abbreviation is DHP.
HP. Yeah.
And literally, and I'll say this again, every borough in the country, every single borough in the country receives this money from the DWP, and all you need to do is put DHP and your borough's name. Put it into Google, and you'll get the form for your borough. For your borough, yeah. And like I said, because you get to write, each local authority gets to write their own policy, so some are a little bit harder than others, but there is a policy which you should be able to also put that in and into Google, and you'll be able to get it.
Right. Okay. Right. Okay. Because I was gonna say I had an experience with DHP, which you're the one that actually told me about it. I was really, really stressed, and I owed some money on my rent, and I remember I think I was in a lower paid job, and just things was kind of tight at that time, and then I was really stressed, and then my sister actually told me, oh, there's a fund that you can claim for. It was DHP. I'd never heard of it before. I googled it. It was very simple. I was able to fill out a form online for my borough, and they came back, and I told them, I told them what I was owing, and they were obviously able to go into my account, and they literally paid it all and they paid it all and left my account in credit, and it's a payment that you don't have to pay back.
Yeah.
And so yeah.
Sorry, I should say there. They can pay arrears for you. So when you were saying like they cleared it, so the shortfall of your rent, they're able to assist with that amount. And then if you do have arrears, they're able to backdate it. There actually isn't any limit on how long they can backdate it for. So like we get some people who have really gone through a bad time. And when I say that, it could be someone that was, working or in a really well-paid job, and then
Changes, circumstances.
life changes, life be lifing.
Yeah.
So different things happen. It could be bereavements, it could be domestic violence, it could be your children, being in trouble. It could be anything. Any kind of situation can throw people off and make your life change. And then so you're going through a stage where you need assistance.
Yeah.
So we can look back 10, 15, 20 years, look into your rent account, look into your history, and we can then do a back payment, especially like when people have received a notice seeking possession, which is basically an eviction notice.
Yeah.
And, they're going to be going to court. Judges will often, if you've made an application and the council or your landlord is taking you to court, the judge looks at what preventative measures have been taken. And if you've got a DHB application in and it's not even been assessed, judges can say, we are going to adjourn this until you get a decision on the DHB.
And then you can go
it
forward from there.
really can save people from getting evicted.
Yeah.
Now, the payments from the fund is meant to be a short-term fund, meaning that you get assistance for a short period of time. So like we'll award people like on a 3-month basis, and then we'll check in with you, or you'll reapply.
Yeah.
And then we'll look at your circumstances then. In this day and age and in this climate, payments are usually longer.
Yeah.
Or you can end up receiving assistance perhaps for the whole year. But it is about each case in its own merit. So the DWP give the guidelines, you have a policy, but each case you can really look at with its own circumstances and, say, well, actually, this person can receive a reward, a one-off payment, or we can pay the shortfall covering your rent for 3 months at a time, 6 months at a time, things like that.
It's a really good, it's a really good fund, and it's funny because other than you telling me about it, I've never seen it anywhere or seen it advertised. No one in housing's ever told me about it. And the disadvantage now is that obviously my rent is fine now, but because I'm not in receipt of housing benefit anymore, when I did try to apply for it, like, I don't know, 3-4 years ago, I was not entitled to it anymore because my job had changed. I was bringing in more money, and I wasn't in receipt of housing benefit. Okay. So no housing benefit, no DHB.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll say this also. Every local authority also receives money from a homeless prevention grant, okay? And with that, local authorities have a bit more autonomy with that, so they can actually create schemes that they think will assist people in the area.
Right.
So in my borough, I have a rent arrears fund. Again, I'm fortunate enough or unfortunate enough to be the one who wrote the policy for that as well.
Right, yeah.
And with that, you can really make it be what you believe your community needs.
Of course, and that's good. So
it is
you can direct it and target it where it's needed, yeah.
When I inherited that fund, it was like a £300 payment for people for your rent account if you were in rent arrears. And, it's meant to be to prevent you from being homeless, right? But over the last 15 years, every year you have to review the policy and write a new one or update it. And then the beauty of that is that you can look at what's going on what's going on out there,
if you need to adapt it where and as.
So, depending on the funding that we receive on that, because that funding, you do get money from the homeless prevention grant, right, which is central government, but locally it's about how the council are going to use it in different places. So most years I have, for that particular fund, only £75,000 for the year.
Right, okay.
But when we receive extra funding, I've had 1.4 million.
Okay, wow.
Right? So when I've got the smaller amount, we award between like 500 to a grand for someone's rent account.
Right.
And what I did with this was, before it was for people that were on housing benefit because universal credit wasn't even around then. And I'm like, but what about everyone else? What about the people who have these kind of situations? All of the things I spoke about that are working people, but they've just.
So you were able to change the policy like that. You're able to write in that if people are still on, if they're on other benefits, they will still be entitled.
I've made it that you do not have to be entitled to any benefits to apply for the rent.
Because most councils do the housing benefit one. If you're not getting, if you're not in receipt of housing benefit, then you cannot even apply for it.
And the reason why I did that is because DHP is only for people who are receiving housing costs.
Yeah.
It meant that anyone else is disadvantaged.
Yes, of course.
Right?
Yeah.
So what we actually do is when someone makes an application for one of or either of the funds, what I tell the officers to do is to look at what fund would be more advantageous for them.
Yeah.
If someone's got rent arrears and it's just a time in their life when they had a bereavement or anything, mental health, anything. There's so many different things that people are going through. Mm-hmm. So we assess that. If we can see that you would benefit more from DHP, then we'll make a DHP payment. But if we think that you just need a one-off payment, which we make directly to the landlords, right?
Of course,
we don't pay
nothing
it to
to
clients.
you,
And obviously, if you're in rent arrears, sometimes, depending on the circumstances, it's not the best thing to pay it to you.
Yeah.
Because you're in rent arrears.
Right,
pay
exactly.
it at some point. So let's pay it to the landlords.
Make sure it goes to where it needs to go.
And the landlords jump on board with that more because they've got the security in that.
Of course, and they know they're going to get the funds, Yeah.
So there's a lot of negotiating and a lot of communication with landlords, and you're like an advocate, a doctor, a mum, a therapist. You understand, like a solicitor. You do a lot of negotiation and mediation, and then after you've done that, the beauty of it is that you've saved someone from being evicted.
Of course,
you've saved them from coming through. You've
taken
off
the stress
again.
of them.
You've saved them from going into temporary accommodation, which isn't the nicest of things.
And shaking down the family dynamics and the routine and
you
know the stability.
Family not being
separated, just going through more torture and
because the thing is, how I've trained the staff is like, you need to not only think about the person. So let's just think that it's a mum, right? She's got 4 children. This is a common kind of scenario. Got 4 children, one's a baby, one's in nursery, one's in primary school, one's in secondary school, doing their GCSEs.
Yeah.
The person comes, the mum didn't pay her rent at some point. She made the wrong decision, right? At this time in her life. Yeah. Whatever she was going through, even if she just wasn't on the ball at that point. Mm-hmm. There's so many different pressures that people are not even able to articulate, right? So if this person becomes evicted, everybody is unsettled. The child who's meant to be doing their GCSEs can't study properly, doesn't have any study space. Children in primary school, children pick up on what their parents are going through. Right, they might not be able to articulate it all the time, but they do pick up on it, right? So you're looking at the whole household. You're making sure that everybody's got a chance. Yeah. So that's the way that we look at things, and that's why it's a brilliant thing that it sits in housing where I am, because you can check all of the accounts and you can see what difference it will really make.
Okay.
Yep. So the message with that is, if you need assistance with rent as well, or other things, because the councils also have funds that help you with white goods.
I think that
fridges,
one's more known about, the white goods one. Why is it only just white goods? They're dread. They won't even give you black or silver, or just even give you the funds for you to go and get yourself.
Your chest is too high.
No, they're just white goods.
Listen.
Who does white again? When you get your first house, some people do have white. When you get your first house, you get white. Then we venture into black
think about it
and in my case, red. You know what I mean?
There is some boroughs who will give you vouchers. So like sometimes they'll give you vouchers, and it will be like you can go to Argos, for example, and then you'll be able to select what you want.
And sometimes the money's not realistic. It's for the basic of basic, and sometimes you've even got to top up because they've given you literally for the white goods. You understand?
Absolutely, yeah. It can vary.
But it's, you can't have a chest that's too high, and if they do that, you can just top it up. Do you know what I mean? So at least it's a help.
And that will vary borough to borough, and it will vary scheme to scheme. Like even there's another fund that they've come to me about to manage, all right? So with this one, I've had to give the ideas of what I think the community where I am needs. Gave about 8 ideas. Really sorry that I did that. Now they come back and want me to now further them, and now I'm going to be managing another fund. I don't want to.
It's just more pressure,
with that one, there was loads of suggestions that I came up with, but the time scale I've realised when we will get the money will be in maybe the 3rd quarter of the year. So I might only get the money from December or January, which means we'll only have 3 or 4 months to spend it. So if I want to do things, like one of the ideas I came up with was, in the schools, parents have like apps now that we're in this time.
Right,
since
okay, the
pandemic
WhatsApp apps and stuff like that. Well,
yeah, so we've got my son's school have Class Dojo. It's like a WhatsApp. It's really good. Everything is communicated on there to everyone. You can communicate with the teachers.
so all the parents are in there, and
everyone's given a password. There's some people that are not computer savvy or not technology savvy,
Right,
so
yeah.
they may not have the accounts. But less and less things are paper based now, isn't it? You don't get the newsletters at the door anymore. They're saving the cost and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So with that though, there is you can pay extra for the app to do more for you, for more interaction. The children can use it and stuff like that. So one of the ideas I had was that we pay for that for parents, so they can have that, subscribe to that for a year, for example. That's one of the examples. But one of the other things that comes up when people are applying for assistance is help with service charges. Now, listen, some people are fortunate enough.
Make sure you're talking.
Oh.
Is it picking up? No, make sure you're talking.
Okay. Some people are fortunate enough to live in properties where there's no service charges, but there are some people who have got crazy service charges. They're so high. When you live in a block and you're paying for the caretaker and the lift breaking down and all these kind of things, they are super high. So sometimes people are approaching us with rent arrears, and when we check it, it's not actually the rent that's not being paid, it's the service charges. However, where I am, we're making payments to prevent homelessness, so we can only pay rent arrears, not service charges. So the idea that I want to push forward with this one is that in this financial climate, with our cost of living and all the rest of it, I want to be able to assist people with a one-off payment for the service charges to get them back on their feet. But all of the time, we have to be educating people about what your responsibility is.
Of course,
it's unfortunate. And that is why when you're picking a property now, because a lot of council have got a choice-based letting scheme, right? So you're applying for a property, you're allowed to bid for the property that you want. You better pay attention. You better pay attention, because it will tell you very clearly, this is the rent,
this is the service
and
charge,
then this is the service charge. The service charge is what you really need to pay attention to, because sometimes a lot of the new builds as well, really stunning, beautiful, and the service charge is not beautiful, and the service charge is yours. So you have to be able to pay for that. And there are some charges that can be covered by housing benefit, but they're a small amount of it. So you need to make sure that you can afford it, because those charges there, you probably won't be able to apply for anywhere for help with that. This, I'm lucky enough to be involved in the decision making. I'm lucky enough or unlucky enough to be the one that's going to now run this one for my council. So that means that I'm saying that this is a need that I've identified, which would be useful to people. So that's what I'll be running with this year with that money. But this is the first for us doing this. But yeah, that's a really important point, because service charges, really district charges.
Isn't that just for when people have obviously not bought? Because when you pay council, like my council house, I don't pay service charge unless it's unless it's involved in the rent. But I do remember when I was looking into purchasing my property, so I was working out each month what it would entail and what I'd have to pay, and all the service charge came up, and about the lift, and if it broke down, and the caretakers, and if the block needed painting, and I read what it meant. It was your rent on top of all that.
No, service charges is a real thing,
and it would have been spontaneous, because if anything happened as and when, they would just bill you then, so you wouldn't even expect it.
They actually bill you in advance when you're doing things. If you're buying a property and that's in a block,
and just hold is it like a holder? What do you call it? Where they hold a bit of money, so if anything is needed, that, you know what I mean? A deposit
I understand.
Or something.
So what they're doing is for when you are buying properties, especially if you've got you're in a block or building, and there is like caretaking duties or things like that, then they will be a builder. They charge you, and they actually overcharge you, and they charge you in advance, because it's about what may come up, right? But service charges are the real thing in blocks, especially. So especially when you've got any sort of communal stuff being done, then you've got service charges. In my one, my council, I don't pay service charge in my lot, and my block's only a little block. I don't pay service charges now, but that was going to get added on. If I bought the property, there was going to be a service charge added on top of the rent, and on top of whatever else came out of the blue. In the particular borough that you're talking about, they actually removed a lot of them for places.
Because I don't, and I mean, I've been there over 20, and I don't ever remember paying. Well, there was before I started working, water rates, does that come under the service charge?
Well, so the council that we're talking about, they used to include the water rates in the rent.
Once upon a time. In the lockdown, they separated that, starting at like £30 odd, and then since then, it's just gone up 40 odd pounds, 50 odd pounds, and I think I'm just I'm under 60.
So what's happened is
with
they've
the Thames
separated it,
water.
and now you have it separately with Thames Water. But what the
Yeah.
council where we live was doing was in fact it was cheaper with them, so they were just charging you a small amount for the water rates. And adding it onto the rent, but yeah, they separated that. So
And what I was shocked about is that when they separated, I thought to myself, oh, so the rent's going to go slightly down because they were together, right? So I'm saying once you take out the water rates and you pay for it separately, I thought they're going to take that out and the rent will go down a little bit. The rent will continue to go up every April. You're going up,
because every
and the water
financial year
rate
it
on its
goes
own
up.
is just
It's
just going up and up, mate.
Yeah, so
I
it
had
was,
to do
it
on
was actually
direct debit.
beneficial when they were doing it like that. But yeah, they saw sense.
I think it was costing them too much, isn't it? And down the line, it's going to cost them a hell of a lot more. But imagine being somewhere and you're not paying for over 15 years, 20 years. That's what you know it to be, and all of a sudden you want to come and change up the thing because
this is why people need to be educated
whilst the money
properly.
stays the same, but you've removed it though from there. You get me?
People need to be educated properly, and it is the landlord's responsibility to do that. So this needs to be explained at the beginning of tenancies, so that people know what their responsibilities are. And I think that doesn't happen for a lot of people, or they don't understand what it is.
So I wonder what they do now then, because when I first, when I first moved in there, actually the water rates were separate, because that's what they had me paying like I wasn't working, or unless if it wasn't separate, when you're not working, they make you pay the water rates because you're not in a receipt, you're not bringing enough to pay the rent. So literally on the tenancy agreement, it had the water rates and it had the rent, and it was saying that's what I was due to pay. When I started working, it now fell into the rent, and the water rates apparently was everything was all tied up into it, and I now was paying that with the rent. But then since they've separated it, so I'm just wondering, so now if somebody wasn't working, where they had you paying the water rates before and now the water rates is separate, how would that be now? Because it was the council that was saying you have to pay the water rate because you're not working, but now that it's not their thing anymore, if you're not working now, what would you pay now?
Bill. Well, you still have to pay for your water rate.
You still have to pay for the water, but I wonder how the rent would deal with you now, because now the water rates is not there. So when they're now saying you have to give us this, you just have to give us this because you're not working, you're not in control of that anymore.
Well, the borough where we are, it's just completely separate now. So so it just won't be a thing. It's not.
So if someone's not working, how much rent would they be charged? You understand that? How much if someone's not working?
The water rates will be whatever Thames Water say it is.
Okay, and would it just be the water rates and they don't have to pay no rent? That would be their contribution?
Well, if they're not working and so they're receiving housing benefit,
okay, that would be their
it'll be
contribution.
covered. Yeah, so it will be covered if they're not working. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just thinking of that now. All right, guys. So I think we're gonna take a little break.
Cool.
Yeah, and we are gonna be back in a bit. I'm gonna play a song. Which one is it, Kai? Oh. One second, people. 1 second. Okay, 2 more songs, people, then we're going to get right back into more conversating, yeah? Right, and we are back.
Yes,
so,
yes.
what are we going to give them now?
Well, let's talk about some things that are trending, shall we?
Yes. Who are we going for first?
Let's talk about Chris Brown.
Poor thing, yeah.
We're not going to talk
know
about
a little bit.
Yeah, let's talk about Chris Brown because I was quite shocked to see
I saw
his
a little
face.
bit of it, but I don't know the ins and outs of the story. So go and recap us.
Okay, all right. So in brief, in 2023,
right,
he had allegedly he had an altercation with a producer, with a UK producer, where he used a bottle in an unkind fashion on this young man. That's the claim, right?
I like that term there. I like the way you put that.
Also, allegedly, him and 1 or 2 of his entourage then were unkind to this man, yeah, in a club, right? So basically, he's left the country at that time. I'm not going to say he fled.
So you don't live here, innit? So he's on his holidays,
but he left, yeah. He doesn't live in this country. And he returned on Wednesday. Now, this is 2025, so we're talking 2 years ago.
Right.
And he's got a tour starting, right? So he's got dates here. He's got dates in Frankfurt and, Belgium and stuff like that, over Europe, and then back in the US. So he flew in on Wednesday on a private jet, all right? Thursday morning, I believe it was around 2 a.m., he was arrested at the hotel in Manchester. And then he was taken to court. So he was kept in custody, taken to court, and his solicitors asked for bail. And he was denied. And they have kept him in a UK prison until his hearing, which is going to be on the 13th of June, which is coincidentally one of his dates, the first date of his tour in another country. I can't remember exactly where it is, but that's a lot. I don't feel like he knew how serious it was when he flew in, because
but it's 2 years old, so he must have heard something within that 2 years.
No, I believe that he did. I believe that he did. I'm just thinking you can't have been that ignorant to believe that when you came.
And the bail thing, I mean, like, they might have felt that if they gave him bail, he might try to go back to, you get me?
But you take his passport.
But I just feel like he's a celebrity, yeah, but you're not special, innit? And so
no, he's not special at all.
Keeping you in until June, it is unfortunate in that, but it's what would happen to people who are normal and they're not celebrities. So yeah, you have to stay in there till June. And not like that. We have seen videos and we have seen things apparently where he has been a little bit. He's been rude to people. He's been hyping up a bit. You get me? Him and his entourage. I don't see
that he's been any ruder than anyone else is.
But I have seen times when he's been involved in things and he's acting a certain way. So sometimes they go on like they think that they're untouchable. Do you know what I mean? They think they can do things and get away with it. And then that happened in 223 and it being 225. Probably all thinking that's done and dusted.
Maybe,
yeah. Like that happened then and then it's over.
Well, he took the risk and it didn't work, innit? So now he's with John and Paul.
But well, obviously they would know if he flew in on a private jet, but you're saying he came to perform and do certain shows or whatever.
Yeah,
so it would have been known that he would have been in the UK, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't feel like he came in I feel like he would come on a private jet usually anyway.
Yeah, and
right?
I feel like he wouldn't have come if he knew that. You understand me?
That's why I'm not sure about if he knew about the severity or not. But maybe he did. Do you know what I mean? But he's trying to take care of business. He came.
Well, maybe they never, because if you know you're going to go somewhere and get arrested, you may not go.
Yeah,
so
you may not
him
go.
not knowing would make him come as normal, thinking he's going to do his shows or do whatever he's coming to do, and then that's when they get you because you're there now. We'll just get you one time.
Yeah, unsure of it, of course, but it will be interesting to see what happens on the 13th.
So like you said, the court case is on the... What do you think is the worst that can happen? Do you think he'll get time? Do you think he'll do time? Do you think
he can get time for it because the producer is claiming something like 16 million.
But where you go with that just because you know the man is baited?
He states that had this event not happened to him, he would have been able to earn that amount. Okay, well... Sometimes when things happen, it's quite tall. It's tall. The amount is it can be debated.
It can be, but he'd also have to prove this in court. I'm sure they're going to ask him the questions like, how do you feel? Like, can you explain to us why it's 60 mil?
I mean, he would have given something that says, but
maybe work. He wasn't able to attend work, or maybe he was feeling depressed or whatever. And then
what I've seen on many platforms is that.
Targeting the right person who's got a certain amount of money, obviously.
No, of course, yeah, there's that. But I've seen on lots of platforms where people have been like, well, they haven't really heard of this young man, the producer. However, he may feel, he feels, not he may feel, he feels, he states that that's how much he would have been able to make, and that's what he wants.
And you know as well, it could be a bit of clout chasing. This can be his come up. Because if too much people don't know about you, then they're going to know about you now. And it's going to make more people Google you. It's going to make more people know. You're going to have your name in people's mouths. It could be a bloody, what's that word they use again? When you do something just because you know it's gonna warrant attention, and then
clout chasing. You said it,
to promote stuff. You know, like when
he's trying to promote himself.
Got a song to come and they go and do something, and then it's like they're talking about that, but then your song comes out, so then it's like
in this day and age, what happens is that, you know, it's almost like it's not. It doesn't matter whether it's good or bad. Why you're known, he's going to be trending.
Yeah.
And he is trending. I looked him up. I'm not going to give any. I'm not going to say his name.
Because
don't give him too much. That is the aim, obviously he was allegedly attacked, right? So I'm not trying to take away from that.
16 mil though.
He says that that's what he would have made. So you know.
But no one doesn't really know you though. But
no, I'm not saying no one does, but I'm just saying on platforms that I've looked
allegedly
on, there are people that were like, they haven't heard of this person, right? But I don't know what projects he had in the pipeline. We don't know who he was involved with or whatever, or things that he wasn't able to do as a result of that. So be it.
It's not a person where they could say that the guy's name was Wayne. Oh, Wayne, you done da-da-da. People are like, okay.
But remember, this is about you being in certain circles. In some places, someone's not known about at all, but somewhere else, they are big.
This is it,
you know what I mean?
Of course, there's different levels to this thing.
He's just not big where I've heard. I never heard of him before. Not saying I'm a music producer or anything like that. I've never heard of him before, but I just saw on platforms that it was like, well, who is this guy? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But anyway, if he was attacked, right, and it meant that he had to be off and wasn't able to do what he was able to do, then of course, you know, it's damages, right? So you weren't able to work.
Why would this take so long to get to here?
Maybe just because Chris Brown wasn't here. Because the thing is, they can indict you, can't they, from countries, and, you know, but I mean...
He's not hard to find, you know what I mean?
No.
So why would it... Unless the person left it and then saw an opportunity, you know... Yeah, you know, sometimes something happens and you might leave it and then come back to it. It might be a situation like that.
Yeah, I think there's an element.
He's been here last year, no, Chris? Does he come here? Like, I swear, wasn't he here last year?
I don't want
He's been here.
Seeing as I'm just guest here today, you know, I haven't done enough research on I haven't got enough research on this, but I can say from what I have seen and what I have read, and it's on the news. Yeah. It's on BBC News. That's why I saw it, actually. And then I was like, oh, when did this happen then?
I saw his mug. When I say a mugshot, because the picture of him wasn't very nice. It was. It was a.
It's a mugshot, but that's a mugshot here. I think that they took here.
And
well, they got him at 2 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah, he looks rough.
He just came in on the jet on Wednesday, 2 a.m. in the morning. They came and busted in the hotel in Manchester.
I didn't know what I'll go on still. I'm joking, but yeah.
Yeah.
So I saw that. And I didn't really read the article, but yeah. So.
But on the 13th. Is the next hearing, so we'll see what happens.
We'll get a little update after the hearing is
of his fans asking, you know, is the concert going to be going ahead and all the rest of it. So, you know, there's a lot on the line for him. And he could be in prison for it. Like, he could be charged and he could be arrested. So, yeah, we'll see what happens with that. So, yeah.
And it's a shame because, you know, sometimes if you do have a spat in prison, when you come out, it's just not the same for you. Like, depends on how long you've been in there sometimes.
We're in funny times now, you know. It's very true because, I mean, he's definitely going to lose money from it if he is unable to fulfill his tour.
And there might be some fans that turn away from because they don't like what they're saying he's done or whatever.
Absolutely.
Remember, there was the review thing and it took him some time to get back from that.
But we're in funny times right now. These kind of things as well can cause you to have more fans.
So I feel like some people can get away with things that they've done because they're very much liked and respected, you know.
He's one of those people where some people like to separate the artist from the behavior, you know, because, you know, he's 36 years old. He's achieved a lot. He's one of those.
He's grey already as well, isn't it? I see in that mugshot, so he was grey on the side.
You're rude.
I don't think that's a current picture.
What's his grey? He is current.
I just didn't. I've never seen him with grey. So that mugshot, when I saw the greys, I was shocked. You get me?
He's had a lot of stress in his life.
Some of us got grey a little bit earlier. I don't want to say I ain't got no grey. You get me? I'm just saying I was shocked because I've never seen him with grey. So that whole mugshot just didn't look like Chris.
He's getting older. Yeah, he looks to be a little bit more heavy set in the picture as well.
And his face looked a bit fuller. Yeah, good life in it. They might eat well.
But that's what I'm saying. You know, but
giving, happy.
You know, whatever happens.
So yes, we can't. Well, I don't
think the 13th of June is when the next thing is. Yeah,
and then we can give an update depending on what is the what's the outcome up to that date. Yeah. So the next one we're going to talk about is Tory Lanez, who is
he is an American artist. He's a singer songwriter, I'd say.
And I'm going to let you take the floor with this one because I don't know much of this story. So it was you that was telling me. So tell me.
Well, me and DJ Kai's were talking about it. So basically.
Yeah.
Come up, guys.
Because I don't know about. Go on. Hold on a second.
No, come over there because you know the buttons and stuff. Yeah, and look at Venetia. All right, so basically, I saw in the news that Tory Lanez got stabbed.
Yeah, you got stabbed 14 times,
right?
Yeah.
And it was like, wow, that's quite a vicious attack. Yeah. And he's been convicted of, let's make sure we use the correct words here. He's been convicted of hurting Megan Thee Stallion. Yeah. With a article which caused her harm in her foot a few years ago, and he was convicted of that, right?
Yeah.
So he's doing time.
Yeah.
And he's doing time in prison
For 10 years.
He got a 10 years sentence, right?
Yeah, 10 years.
How many years has it
sentence.
been now? It's been a few years.
Been quite, because I think, no, it can't have been around 2020 now. Because when 2020, when the situation
It's been a few.
happened,
The thing is, it happened, and then the trial happened after that. So
But it's been a while though.
He's probably been in
been a
there
while.
definitely maybe around 2 years at least. I'd say he's been in there. Yeah. I mean, it's one of those cases as well. It's one of those cases where they got the conviction, but I did follow it a bit at the time, and I'm not sure about whether I believe he was the one who actually.
Apparently he wasn't.
I believe that evidence showed that he probably wasn't the one.
Yeah.
Who committed that particular crime. But there's a lot of messiness around the conviction, and anyway, he got convicted for it, right?
Yeah.
So. But he got stabbed 14 times.
Yeah,
One of them
so
was actually in the head as well.
In the head, yeah.
Yeah.
In the torso, I think.
Yeah.
And then his lungs got collapsed as well.
Yeah, I believe that was a serious attempt.
Yeah,
14 times is not for fun. Yeah, they've got the person is allegedly someone who committed.
At the prison as
Yeah,
well,
he's
innit?
at the prison and committed quite a serious crime. He's in it for quite a serious crime. So I'm not sure, what will be added onto. You never know the things that go on, right? You never know what it was for.
But apparently, when I've looked on Instagram, Megan Thee Stallion's fans, they've gone and created this, what do you call it? I think it's a GoFundMe page, thanking the inmate.
Oh man, this is.
And then people are signing bare, what do you call it? Bare. They're saying that thank you, and it's like, that's serious. And you're there thanking, it's on Instagram. It's on Instagram.
Yeah, that's not nice. I'm not trying to condone anyone's behavior and things that might go on. But you setting up a GoFundMe for someone, because that is to me attempted.
Yes.
You attempted to take someone's life,
it's
right?
serious as well.
For the person who did it.
In the prison.
Yes. That's not very nice. That's not very nice.
Yeah.
In any case, he survived.
Yes.
I saw
That's
that
the
he
main
had a
thing.
petition to release him, and I think there's some celebrities that are going behind that to release him, right? But
Chris Brown also said free Tory Lanez as well, so, and I think Drake as well. So
he was convicted for a crime. Yeah. So, I mean, people will try and do stuff to try and help people, but I don't think that petitions are really.
Pick up Shen 78.
Oh, hi Shen. Good afternoon to you. Thank you for locking in. So that's Tory Lanez. I mean, I guess for anyone who's been hurt, a speedy recovery. But yeah, definitely 14 times being attacked with a weapon is to cause serious harm or unaliving someone. So yes, that's not, very nice. Okay.
Hopefully he recovers, and but it's gonna take some time to recover. But I hope. Yeah. Because that's serious. 14 times.
Yeah. For anyone, it's it's a horrible thing. Okay. Well, there is one more thing we're going to talk about before the break.
Sorry, mate.
A bit of a lighter note, a bit more of a grumble.
Isn't it?
It's about
prices, isn't it? Like flights, yeah.
Let's get on to holidays for a minute, shall
prices.
we? For the mums. Let's get on to for the mums and the parents. Let's get on to
my boy's
holidays.
big now, innit? But why is it that fares seem to go up when it's holiday times and when they know more people are traveling? Well, we know why. But why do they do that? It's really out of
It's
order.
unfair.
So you get to the 6 weeks holidays, you get to any kind of holidays, and you want to take the kids away, and it's gone sky high. Because they just know that bare people travel at that time, so you just put it so high. It's just ridiculous. And even babies now, we were saying, even babies and children under a certain age, before you used to pay a certain amount, and now
The children are the same
You feel like
price as an
you're paying
adult. I
full-
feel like saying, why do you need to know? Why do you want to know how old they are? Why do you want to know how old they are? They're the same price.
my friend was giving me a trick though. Holiday prices due to non-term time is teeth. It really is teeth.
Yes,
and with how
Shin,
much
it is.
fees and F.
Yeah, it
Um,
really is. It's extortionate.
But there was someone who done a little TikTok, and she was saying that she was showing ways to get like the cheapest holiday. So she was saying basically to look at it late. No, she said look at it between 1 and 3 in the morning, because she was like basically all the other times people are looking at the same time, and she said the things work on the views that they're getting and how much people are looking and the prices going up and all this.
Yeah.
Because she always gets cheap flights when she looks on there between Monday and Friday.
Yeah.
And between 1 and 3 in the morning.
Yeah.
And she literally said every time you go in there, it goes up. Kind of you literally see it
Of
going
course,
up.
that's with
So
anything. When it's
yeah.
like if you put things in a basket, right? When you're shopping on Shein or whatever it is, you see not even Shein. Is it Shein I'm thinking about? No, it's not Shein. It is Shein as well,
Temu.
actually.
'Cause you
Any
know-
of them,
right.
Shein or just even Amazon, right? If you're looking at something and then you've got it in your basket, tutus now you've kept it in your basket. Then you realise you've gone back to it. The price has gone up. It's gone up. It's gone up because they know you're interested in it. So
Yep,
you keep it
yep,
there
yep.
for a time. So then they know you're interested in it. So then it's going up by like a
They
pound.
know you're gonna buy it. Yeah,
50
yeah,
pence,
yeah,
and then you know, so this is marketing, right? So they know they're going to make a packet out of that. Shinshin78 says that some people do offers for single parents,
So
and that
some
is
airlines,
true.
yeah?
Some airlines do that. Some airlines also say children can go free, but I've realised that's children.
Which
under
airline is that?
it's the airline where they want the
Ryanair?
child who's still breastfeeding to go free. The one that can sit on your lap, that's not going to cause them to have you use another seat and all the rest of it.
Oh, Shen said to let her correct herself. She said, well, not people, but the airlines and the travel consultants, she's saying, not so much people.
Yes, right, yeah.
Um,
yeah. No, of course, yeah, we knew that. Yeah, so like, and then there's people like EasyJet. Now, EasyJet actually do really, really good holiday. There's loads of
Until
places.
things go wrong. When things go wrong, you're just left on. I remember when I took a flight with them, when it went wrong, they didn't even have a help desk.
That
everything
depends
was
where
up, you
you
know what I
are.
mean?
I mean, it is a no frills kind of airline.
It's like, if there's no
but
problem, then you're fine. But if there's problems,
it
then
depends, and that's why you need to have good travel insurance, though.
Right, yeah.
Did you have travel
I mean,
insurance?
I'm not well travelled, so I don't
That's
even...
why I asked you.
But in fact, I want to say the account that I've got, the bank account that I've got, I don't use it, but it has got insurance on it. It's got holiday insurance. It's got insurance in it, but I've never really actually.
We can
it's
get
covered
into
on my
this.
card. I've got like
We can get into
a
this.
royalty gold card in it. Like, but I don't use these things.
We can get into this because I refuse to pay a bank account where you pay the extra and you get all of these extra benefits.
Well, I
don't like it.
But I got that. You know when them PIP people come and they get you back your money, so they got back all my charges, and then the bank were
Yeah.
telling me, "Can you please change your account?" Basically, because they managed to get back all the charges from me, and I didn't change the account because
Yeah.
I had it for many years. You get me, but
No, I don't believe in
it's
that.
a
I
good
don't believe
account
in paying
if you
extra.
need it. If you're traveling,
But
if
this is
you're
what I'm
using these
saying.
places, then it's fine.
Those accounts that you pay extra and it's meant to give you all of these benefits and there's things like, you know, mobile insurance and travel insurance and all these kind of things. I do find that, and you'll see lots of articles about this where people try and make the claim and then they come across some nonsense or small print that they didn't see before.
yeah.
You know, I know of one or two people, their phone broke. They're like, oh yeah, I've got my phone insurance. And then there was a hefty fee that they had to pay, the excess fee. So they had to pay that, and it's like, they might as well just have bought a new phone.
Yeah,
You know
no,
what I
exactly,
mean?
exactly, yeah.
So, and then of course, like you said, you've got to be using the accounts, because if you've got travel insurance on there and then you travel, you need to make sure you use that travel insurance. And another thing whilst we're on there is that travel insurance should be booked when you book your holiday.
Of course, yeah.
Even though you're going to only have it from the date of your flight to when you return,
Yeah.
when you actually book it, that is when you should get your travel insurance, because it will then cover you from this day when you booked
Right,
it
yeah.
until you even go. Cancellation fees, things like that. So
Okay.
that's
So
the
it has
tip.
to be done at the time, yeah.
Yeah, do it at the time, and also always use a comparison site. Don't even go with someone that you've gone before, because when I travel, I use single. I don't do annually for travel insurance, but when you do it for single occasions, you need to make sure that you've used a comparison site like Compare the Market or Money Supermarket
Right, of course,
to
it'll
get the
go through all-
cheapest,
of course,
but
yeah.
also as well to make sure that you tick things, especially in this day and age when you've got a child like mine who likes gadgets and it could get lost. There's gadget cover and stuff, so you need to make sure you select those things to make sure that your insurance is working for you.
Of course,
it's
yes,
really, really
because
important,
you might
because
be
I
paying
remember
for it,
back
it's
in
not
the
gonna
day
cover
when I
what you
used to
need.
pick insurance and the insurance used to be $5.99 or something. I don't know what it'd be covering.
Yeah, yeah,
You know
yeah.
what I
You
mean?
say
It was
insurance
just
and you think it's
it was
gonna
just for
cover
me to
something.
have insurance. You know what I mean? Shenshen 78 is saying when children have the opportunity to travel, it's great learning and life experiences that can be cherished. 100%.
Of course, and
And
memories.
we are in the time of creating memories. It's
Mm-hmm.
so important. It's so important. Not saying that you have to go on holiday to do that, but you know, life has changed since the pandemic. We were
Yep, and
talking
it's
about
changing,
it.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
real.
and it keeps on changing. But
Roads,
since
buildings,
the
you know
pandemic,
what I mean?
there's been so much changes, and we have really seen in our lifetime a pandemic which can snatch life from you.
Yep, and just
So
make
you
sudden
have
changes.
to, you really need to try and live each day, not like it's your last. I don't really like that saying.
No,
But you know, do all of the things that you want to do. That's what I'm trying to say. Do everything that you want to do. Yeah, try and make sure that you know you do these things in life. Okay, so we're going to take another break, guys, and we'll see you on the other side.
And we are. I'm gonna sing. That note sounded alright though.
It didn't. So yeah, we're back.
Okay, so we're gonna give you. We're gonna talk about now some.
We're going to talk about what people do to feel good these days, going out and stuff. So like we were having a conversation about day parties. How do people feel about day parties and brunches as opposed to raving at night or parties
I haven't
at
been
night?
to any only because they always look good and the price is nice and what they've got going on. You know, the food, the music, and the whole package seems good. It's the times for me. It's the earliness. I can't really get my head around there. You know, the kind of 5 o'clock start,
Okay.
the 10 o'clock finish. I feel like when it's finishing, that's when I'm going to be like, yeah, where's the party? I want to go.
That's
for
the late one
longer.
that you're talking
Do
about.
you know what I
'cause
mean? Yeah,
they don't
like
even finish
brunches.
that
I'm not
late.
really used to raving like that, so I haven't
Listen.
really got onto that concept. Do you know what I mean?
Now
But
this,
you've been
you
to
know,
loads of them, so.
well, this is about age now, to be honest with you, because I much rather go to a day party or brunch
There's
than
only 4 years
nighttime
between
for
us
me.
though still, so I don't know about the age thing.
It's
but
age, man. It's age.
it's preference, man. It's preference.
No,
You get
because
me?
it is preference, but the thing is, your opinion might change when you've come to some. Do you understand what I mean?
And I would enjoy it, but I just know that like once I get started, I want to rave some more in it. And
For
that
me,
10
it
o'clock
feels
finish,
like no,
it's
and
gonna be
the
too
thing is
early
as
to
well is you
finish,
have
man.
the. It depends as well how live they are.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
some brunches, you know, you're gonna have. Look, it would start at maybe even 2 o'clock, 2 till 6 or something like that. It could be a little bit longer, but you know, you've got like an hour where they give you unlimited drinks.
Right, yeah.
Then they give you the food. It might be a set menu, or it might be unlimited food for
And
that
the
amount of
unlimited
time.
drink, let's go back a bit. The unlimited drink, is it like, would it be spirits or would it just be like, you
It's
know,
spirits.
cheap wines?
No, it's spirits. But what usually they will state at the beginning of it is that you can either have bottomless prosecco or rum punch. For example, it's not just an array. Some are different, right? But it will specify what you can have.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. So you'll have that for 90 minutes or something, or an hour or whatever. So that's why it prompts you to get there early as well. And me, I'm just like a granny now. I want to open the doors with security. Let's get in there. Do you know what I mean? Enjoy it. You get your hour and everything. Because I'm not really trying to spend extra, to be honest. I've gone there for the experience, right? So it's like, let's enjoy it.
Yeah.
And then you've got your music. And usually I'm quite satisfied with that, because the thing is, these days it's taking me 3 days to recover from one thing.
Oh
So
my
I don't
gosh,
want
yeah.
to, I'm not interested in going somewhere else later on. And I prefer the earlier it finishes as well, the better for me. But I'm not an ardent raver. Like, there's people that are like proper
Yeah.
ardent ravers. For them, it's like, where we going next?
Where
we
we
going
going
next?
next? That
And I
just starts it
think, me,
off.
I'm
That's
like,
just- yeah.
you know, I don't watch EastEnders,
Okay,
but you know,
home
when
time
it's
now.
EastEnders on, yeah, I want to go back and watch Netflix now.
Yeah.
Put on my bonnet and just relax, you know what I mean? So it depends, you know what I mean? But the day parties, I really do enjoy them. I prefer them. And there's some that are like big major events. Like there's something called the Old Cocoa White. It's the 10-year anniversary this year. I must have been to about 3 in my life. And they used to be a little bit more intimate. They used to be like in a mansion. Everyone wears all white.
Right, yeah.
And, you know, there's like 2 arenas or what have you. Now they're moving with the times, and it's a much bigger event. And it is a lot, enjoyable for a lot of people.
Yeah.
But I think since the lockdown, for me as well, I have a bit of anxiety about being around so many people.
Yeah,
and it's really
no, I
grown.
feel
And, you
you.
know, respect to them for the elevation of it, but it's just a little bit too large for me.
Yeah.
So
Where is it held? At what area and what kind of setting?
So at the moment they've kind of moved to like still the mansion vibe or big marquees, but last year they held it at Ascot.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they held it at Ascot, and
was it like full? Was it ram kind of thing?
yes, it was. Yeah. A lot of people.
How much are we looking at? What's the kind of prices for the tickets, and what is that involve?
50, 60. I mean, if you
Who?
yeah,
50, 60 pounds.
Nisha,
What
this
do you
is
get
the
for
sound.
that? Do you get a bottle of drink? Do you get drinks? Do you get food? Like, what do you get?
no, you get to enjoy the experience. Yeah, that's how much it is.
£60.
40, 45 pounds, 50 pounds.
Oh, okay.
More than that. If you're gonna go VIP,
You don't even get a glass. Like, you don't get a glass of drink. You
I don't believe
get
so. I don't want to
food?
lie. I don't believe so.
Wow.
The thing is, as well, is that you it's the experience that you're going for, right?
Of course, yeah.
And also, as well, you know, this is an opportunity for people to be in venues where traditionally a certain type of people are not really there, right? So, you know, there's an elevation in it, and you know, we can behave and be at these places as well. You know, where somebody as well. It's that kind of vibe there. But yeah, it's actually nice settings and all the rest of it. But it's just a bit too large for me. You know.
And do you ever like see any? What's that the one? No. Do you ever see any trouble there and stuff like that? Because obviously it's mature people raving, and so most of the time with mature people raving, you don't seem to get the troubles of the normal troubles. So do you find with the Cocoa White that have you ever seen any trouble or?
Me personally, when I've been, I've never really seen that or experienced that. I think that the larger the event gets, the more hybrid the crowds. The more that there's like different ages that are attending,
People
so
are
you can get that at any event. But I'd say overall, not to single them out as well, like with anyone who's doing these bigger things, I don't really hear of any trouble. But I must say as well that I'm not really out there like that anymore. Do you know what I mean? So, but I don't hear of trouble in most of them. Yeah.
No, that's good. That's good. I think that's why the mature people like to kind of rave certain places, and they don't really like, I don't know, people of a certain age and down coming, because then they come with a certain energy. They've got a different mindset. It's like you haven't really come just to enjoy yourself. Someone steps on your toe, the way you would deal with it and your response is different, and you've got a whole situation. Do you know what I mean? With
growth is a wonderful thing.
The younger ones want to come with the older lot, and you don't know how to do things like the older lot.
Growth is a wonderful thing. There's loads of people even who would be troublemakers when they were younger, and they will handle things differently. But there is some
people that are they're young and they're mature for their age, and they can come and rave and have a nice time, and they come to do the right thing. So I'm not saying it's all people of that age, but
yeah, definitely.